Tonight, a completely predictable plot line. Conservatives are upset with an athlete for saying something that they don't like. Caitlin Clark, she is Time's Athlete of the Year, and she told the magazine that she benefited from white privilege on her way to fame in the WNBA. That's a league where most players are black. Podcaster Megyn Kelly heard that and lost it. She said, quote, "She's on the knee, all but apologizing for being white and getting attention." Kelly wrote on X, "The self-flagellation, the, oh, please pay attention to black players who are really the ones you want to celebrate. Condescending, fake, transparent, sad." Clark responded to those comments today. Listen.
I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, I try to just be real and authentic and, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So after Caitlin Clark's fans turned on her, after the backlash she received after her Time interview, where she said that she has benefited from white privilege, she doubled down on her comments and said that she was doing nothing but speaking her truth, being authentic. And Megyn Kelly had a lot to say about the situation, Riley Gaines had a lot to say, and the race hustlers are absolutely loving this. The people who made it about race from day one, they are absolutely loving this. When they speak about this topic, you can see the smug looks on their faces, because Caitlin Clark has essentially said that this whole time, they were right. Everyone who defended her and said that she has earned everything that she has achieved, that this has nothing to do with race, people who don't believe that white privilege exists in 2024, what she said was essentially seen as a slap in the face to everybody who defended her. So we have people like Jemele Hill coming for Riley Gaines, we have people coming for Megyn Kelly, and even saying that Megyn Kelly is a racist, because they didn't care too kindly for the comments she made, saying that Caitlin Clark doesn't owe anyone anything in terms of saying that we need to acknowledge certain people, in terms of acknowledging white privilege. And one thing that really got people going was Megyn Kelly saying that black women do not own the league.
So she gets selected as Athlete of the Year. And what does Caitlin Clark do? This woman who's a superstar, she's the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. And she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't stand her. Why? Mm-hmm. Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism. And one of the things that's been admirable about Caitlin is she just continues to play her game and put points on the board. And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all of this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly on the show.
So one thing that really got people going was her saying that Caitlin Clark is the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. One thing that people point out is Caitlin Clark has only been around for a year in the WNBA, and you're already giving her Michael Jordan status. And I'm inclined to believe that people think it's because she's white that people are elevating her to such levels. People acknowledge that she's a phenomenal player, that she's achieved a lot, but they believe that she's been pushed even further because of white privilege.
So she gets this honor, and all she has to do is continue staying above it. Thank you. I'm grateful. Love being in the WNBA, and I love my colleagues who I play with, my teammates. That's it. Instead, she decides to go racial. And what she says is she feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it, though, so you should give her a pass. And then she makes a point of saying the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women on whose backs this league was built, which I have to tell you is so condescending.
It really
It's
is.
true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league, just like whites don't own tennis or golf. Nobody owns the league. This is America. Anybody can play if they're good enough. But they want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten. You will be assaulted and you will be bullied with no friends. So she does it. She finally did it. She bent the knee, self-flagellated over white privilege. And look at the black women in this league. And I have to tell you, if I were a black woman in that league, I think I'd say, screw you. Because don't treat me like I am the ugly stepsister and you are Cinderella, and no prince is going to look at me unless Cinderella says, oh, give her a little time. Oh, put her in the spotlight for a moment. I would be offended.
And I actually have to agree with that last part in particular. I don't think this is doing the black players any favours whatsoever. And I believe it sends the wrong message to young black girls who aspire to play basketball and get to that level. It's sending the wrong message. It's saying that because you're not white, you can't achieve what Caitlin Clark has gone on to achieve. In an institution that is solely based on merit, that is solely based on getting results. So listen to the response to what Megyn Kelly had to say. She was called a racist for saying what she just said. And one thing to note, they played Megyn Kelly's clip and they cut it off at the point where she said blacks don't own the league. That's where they cut it off. They failed to play the part where she said, just like whites don't own tennis or don't own golf.
She is coarse, isn't she? Megyn Kelly, among a handful of prominent right-wing commentators to express disappointment in Caitlin Clark's recent comments about white privilege. I mean, what was she supposed to say to Time? Santa is white? Would that have been fine? That's okay. Just say, co-sign on that and leave it at that, but don't say anything else groundbreaking. Don't learn anything. I don't know who Caitlin Clark really is. Maybe a publicist told her to say it, but she said it. It was, I think, the right thing to say and acknowledge. By the way, she's not the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. There are some incredible players. She has a lot to learn. She is good, though. She is good and she is tough. And by the way, she's not the one complaining about being assaulted. It's called a rough foul. And some say it was justified. Others that it was flagrant, but anyway.
So enter the white liberal who doesn't hold back one bit, and puts all sorts of labels on Megyn Kelly, including apparently that she's a racist.
Megyn Kelly is beyond a mean girl. She is a rich, crotchety Scrooge of a woman.
See you next Tuesday.
It's just, thank you. And we rarely reference Tuesday.
No.
But I have to say, I'm not going to say, no, Fran, Tuesday all the way. I'll let you take it away.
Well, I mean, let's put aside the nomination, the selection of, Caitlin Clark for Athlete of the Year. The Time magazine just had Donald Trump as Person of the Year. So I don't think we should be looking to Time to tell us who is notable and who is not. They're just trying to remain relevant. But Megyn Kelly and so many other racists out there are so mad that Caitlin Clark will not be their Kim Kardashian with 3 Ks. Like, they're so mad that Caitlin will not rise to being like, the Aryan princess who gets mad at all the black women around her, because all they want to do is make her this massive victim of so-called reverse race. They don't even call it reverse racism. They call it racism, right? Against white women. And she doesn't go along with it. And not only does she not go along with it, she's openly expressing her solidarity, her respect for the black women who, yes, in large part built the WNBA and whom are her colleagues and her fellow athletes. And that makes a Republican racist skin crawl, because they could never, they don't see themselves. Every time they think to congratulate a person of color and support them, they think a part of themselves dies. They think, why can't I have that? Why can't I be that? Why do they get everything, right? That's their small little mind. That's what the racist mind does. Caitlin Clark rises above. Caitlin Clark is like, I will not be your white nationalist Barbie doll. I will not be your emblem. I don't need that. You all need that bag. You need the racist bag. I don't need that bag because I make money.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And they're saying that Megyn Kelly is the one who's mad? Everything she said there, I'm questioning if it's projection, because you wanted Caitlin Clark to be like this from day one. You wanted her to be the Megan Rapinoe of the WNBA. And she stayed out of it. She stayed neutral. She seemed very appreciative of where she is, of the fans. She always shouted at her fans. And even when they tried to say that her fans were racists and they're using her name to spew racism or to attack the black players, she didn't seem to buy into that. I feel that they wanted her to be the Colin Kaepernick of the WNBA, the Megan Rapinoe of the WNBA. And when she stayed neutral, they allowed her to be smeared. And they didn't defend her when she was being beaten up on the court. They made excuses. They said, oh, well. So I feel this woman is just projecting. So that was one of the most hate-filled rants I've heard in a long while from the tolerant left. So during this segment, as evidence of Caitlin Clark's white privilege, they say, look to Simone Biles. Simone Biles should have won the Athlete of the Year.
Despite Clark's acknowledgement of her privilege, there are still plenty of fans who took issue with her being named the Athlete of the Year when gymnast Simone Biles had a banner 2024. As usual, social media didn't mince words while expressing themselves. I like Simone Biles. I like her story, too. I learned more about it watching her personal story. I didn't know half the things she'd been through and her family. And she's a great one. They're both great. Who cares, right? One user wrote, by winning nothing, white privilege at its height. Simone Biles broke Olympic records, but Time named a woman who won nothing as Athlete of the Year. I mean, I think that there's a point there, okay? And that's not against Caitlin Clark. That's a systemic thing that this social media user is pointing out. Another online poster wrote, Time not giving Athlete of the Year to Simone Biles or Katie Ledecky is a choice. Flowers to Caitlin Clark, but she'll have this opportunity in other years while these women likely won't. One ex-user wrote, I feel like I'm in a fever dream because how did she get this? As another replied to her, white woman whose team did not win a championship, while Simone Biles excelled in her sport. The argument for Biles is compelling. 27 years old, she dominated the Paris Olympics, securing 3 gold medals, 1 silver. Furthermore, her athletic resume is unprecedented. 11 Olympic medals, 7 of them gold, and a total of 40 medals across world championships and Olympic competitions, more than any gymnast in history, male or female. Most decorated in history, in Olympic history. I think they make some strong points.
So first of all, one of the things that stands out about Caitlin Clark is that her teams aren't very good. And she has taken them to levels that they haven't reached before. If she was on a team that wins all the time, it wouldn't have been as noticeable just how much her presence on the court has made a difference. So you can't compare somebody's team not winning a championship to a gymnast who is completely different. It's just not an equal comparison.
I feel like so much has happened over the course of last year, from when I started my last college season and not knowing if that would actually be my last season, whether I was deciding to come back to college or turn pro, and now sitting here like I'm done with my first professional season and so much has happened. And whether it was, making the national championship game or getting the Fever back to the playoffs since 2016, there's just a lot to be proud of.
So she was quite modest when she said that, but it speaks volumes where she took those teams, both Iowa and Indiana Fever. But the fact is, Caitlin said she benefits from white privilege, but never gave any examples. What exactly are you referring to when you say that, yeah, I've achieved what I've achieved, but I've benefited from white privilege? Meaning that some of your achievements can be attributed to white privilege. Why not specify what that is exactly? Because the race hustlers will attribute your whole career to white privilege, or pick and choose what they want to attribute to white privilege. Oh, you got the Nike deal because of white privilege. You got Time magazine because of white privilege. Give examples. Because until then, it's just talking points. It's just buzzwords. Just wanting to speak a certain way and sound a certain way without actually giving any evidence of that. Interesting. And then she still accepted the award. Megyn Kelly pointed this out. I think it's a very good point. If you feel that strongly that we need to elevate the black players, or the black athletes, why did you accept the award? There's people who believe Simone Biles is more deserving of the award, and that you got it because of white privilege. So if you're benefiting from your white privilege, why would you accept the award? knowing that you were chosen over a black athlete. Like, put your money where your mouth is. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of, oh, I want to say the right things. I want to speak a certain way and get a pat on the back. That's how it comes across to me. So Jemele Hill, she weighed into the whole situation. So race baiter Jemele Hill absolutely played the hits on Thursday night. Hill, a proponent of critical race theory, wanted to challenge Outkick's Riley Gaines on a flammable topic regarding Caitlin Clark on X. So Riley Gaines said, "No one's asking for Caitlin Clark to position herself as a right-wing hero. She's a phenom who inspires countless young girls to play and achieve. So I still have great admiration for her. But she missed the mark on this one." Jemele responded saying, "You holler all the time about supporting and protecting women. And yet the moment that Caitlin Clark expresses appreciation and respect for the black women in the WNBA, many of whom she grew up watching and idolizing, suddenly you're acting like a disappointed parent. Child, you could not tell on yourself any louder. Caitlin Clark has always paid homage to the people she grew up idolizing. She has said that numerous times. She can just say, I'm thankful for the people who came before me, like Cheryl Miller and Dawn Staley. She doesn't have to talk about white privilege in order to do that. Why does she have to be self-deprecating to honor the OGs of the WNBA? So Riley responded, "White privilege in the WNBA is literally hilarious. Maybe you're like Sunny Hostin and think CC has tall privilege, pretty privilege, and straight privilege. There's lots of black players in the WNBA I love and respect too, but I don't admire them because they're black. I admire them for their game. That's the difference." Can you imagine if people made these demands of Serena Williams when she came on the scene as one of the very few black women in tennis at the time? You need to pay homage to the white women who came before you, young lady. Jemele said, "You're intentionally missing the point. White privilege is real, and sports is no exception. CC is self-aware enough to understand that black women who have accomplished things similar to what she has haven't received the same marketing and endorsement opportunities. Prior to this year, every WNBA player who had their own shoe was white. For a long time, even when Serena Williams was the #1 player in the world, Maria Sharapova made more money than her in endorsements because Serena wasn't considered a fit for high-end brands. What's funny is that you can see the inequalities that women face if they're white, and for some reason, you want to play dumb when it's black women." She does have a point there with the tennis. So Maria Sharapova, as far as I'm aware, she was beyond a mediocre player though. She was a good tennis player. A better example probably would have been Anna Kournikova, who was a mediocre player, hadn't won a single tournament, a single title, but she got endorsement deals, probably because of the way she looked, because of her blonde looks. WNBA players, they don't look like Anna Kournikova typically anyway. Caitlin Clark doesn't look like Anna Kournikova either. I don't think it's right to punish somebody in 2024 for things that happened in the 90s, for things that happened in the 80s, things that happened in the 70s. That's got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. But then again, she herself has said she benefits from white privilege, so, you know, I'm not even gonna defend her anymore. She herself has said she benefits from white privilege. And people like Jemele Hill are loving it. Is it going to help the WNBA though? Nope. It's not going to help the WNBA. It's not going to elevate the WNBA. These people are fixated on the past. And they're holding people today to account for what happened, decades ago. So, Riley Gaines, she posted something that Jemele Hill must have wrote or contributed to. She said, "This you saying Caitlin Clark's race and sexuality make her problematic? Clark isn't the problem, she's the solution. Being a long-standing professional race baiter must be so exhausting." So Jemele responds, "Girl, you need to thank Lia Thomas every day of your life for helping you get famous. Otherwise, you would have been just a decent college swimmer that no one knew. You wrote the book on grifting, not me. I noticed you didn't post the original LA Times piece my comments appeared in that provided the entire context of my remarks. Instead, you posted an opinion piece that intentionally misrepresented what I said. In the same article, I called her a generational talent and a female Steph Curry. If you struggle with reading and comprehension, just say that. I didn't ask for the platform I have. I'd have been just fine being a decent college swimmer, married to my best friend, and pursuing dentistry. Sounds like a dream to me. I've faced threats and violent attacks for my stance. You've got to be clinically insane to desire that for yourself. I do what I do because it's the right thing, and at the time, few were. So I'll ask you directly, do you believe men belong in women's sports?
That there is certainly a huge issue with transphobia in our country. And if people understood for 2 minutes what the dynamics of this was, it never should have got out of hand in this regard. And I feel so sorry for this young woman who has been subjected to these attacks, when all it boiled down to was that the woman that she competed against realized after getting hit, she couldn't compete. And rather than accept that gracefully as a competitor, she chose to weaponize this further by crying and by saying it was unjust. There was nothing unjust about it. I mean, to be frank, you just got your butt beat, and that's the end of what happened.
So Riley said, how deeply regressive and utterly misogynistic for Jemele Hill to tell me to thank a man for the platform I have. Thank him for what? Violating us in the locker room, stealing a national title from a deserving woman, indirectly stripping us of our 1A rights. Just say you hate women, Jemele Hill. That's it. That sums it up. This woman, she ain't for women. We've seen her defend men competing in women's sports. We've seen her defend male athletes boxing females in the face. These people love to hit below the belt when they're losing the argument. So it is what it is. We shall see what happens next season. Are the woke mob going to welcome Caitlin Clark with open arms now? Are they going to lay off her on the court? Only time will tell. Are people going to come out and support Caitlin Clark still? Are the stadiums going to be filled? So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.